So this would be a fun way to start. I mean, most of us are in X browsing through some of interesting tweets, right? What are we doing for BFCM, scouting for some insights. But I think this is a great way to start. About email marketing, push notification, SMS. Now, you would have gotten a little bit of a hint what are we going to talk about, right? Just three major channels that's going to bring you revenue. Like I said, there are certain promises that I want to do before I started off, which is it's not going to be a very, very broader thing. We're going to give you action-packed advice, which means that after you go back to your brand, you can just implement some of these and make sure that's going to help you get more revenue from this peak holiday season, especially around BFCM. And we're also going to keep it more like give you numbers around what's happening here. And also, all of these insights are coming from me directly working with a bunch of brands. For people, I'm sure most of the people know what Push-All is, but people who do not know what Push-All is, Push-All has been a household brand in the Shopify ecosystem for about 7.5 years. We started with web push notification, got acquired by Brevo, and right now we serve more than 500,000 customers. We do web push, email, SMS. Just to tell you scale, we do about 3.5 billion emails a month. That's the scale that we're talking about. But more on this later on, but we'll just get to the crux of what we're here for on the BFCM on the next slide. So we're gonna sort of, like I said, just give a warm up, like how you do the email warm up. You make sure you send an email to everybody, tell them what's happening like that. We're just gonna do a small game, right? We're gonna talk, is it a fact or a fiction? And the first question is, do you need a mobile app for push notifications? And is it a fiction or a fact? Put down your answers on the chat and I'll reveal it in next 2 minutes. We'll reveal the answer for this one. So this is a fiction. You actually don't need to have a mobile app in order for you to send push notifications. So whenever you send this web push notification, you can actually receive the push notification in mobile and desktop anywhere. As long as you subscribe from the browser, you can actually receive it. So you don't need to actually spend time building a mobile app and everything. It actually save your resources by just using web push notification. So we'll move on to the next one. So there are three more of this. Spoiler alert. The idea is so that we are all on the same page, and then we sort of jump into the more actionable stuff. Increasing email subscribers is the most important metric. I know this is very, very interesting. I'd love to see hot takes. Feel free to go and put it in the chat. What do you think is the most important metric? Derek says fiction. Leah says fiction. Nice. Profit. Fact. Is it a fast fact? Okay. Sweet. Sales. Absolutely.
Our company has a very specific market sector that we would advertise to, and if you don't fit into that, you can be a hell of a lot harder to convert. So if I've just got a load of raw subscribers, yeah, and as someone else said, I mean, yeah, sales is pretty important, but there's a whole lot around how you get there in the final step. But for me, yeah, the volume of my email list is great. It tends to go up with sales as it grows, but that's because I get the right people on it, right?
Yeah, makes sense. Thanks for sharing that.
Yeah, no worries.
Perfect. And the answer for this one, as you all know, this is a fiction. While it's very important for you to increase the number of email subscribers, think about just like a bucket, right? And let's say there's a bucket full of water, but there's also a hole in the bucket. No matter how much of water you're going to put in the bucket, it's just going to still leak. So while it could be an important metric, it's not the most important metric. All right. Again, push notification is an unrestricted channel. Like a lot of you know about Email has deliverability. There's a spam filter, spam trap. SMS is also very interesting. There's a TCPA compliance. There's a bunch of complaints around when do you have to send your SMS within working hours. There are a lot of things around email SMS. I'm sure all of you know as marketers, founders, when you operate with a brand, these are some important aspects. But do you know, is there anything around push notification? Is there any sort of a compliance or any sort of a restriction in terms of what push notifications could do? Is it a fiction or a fact? What do you think? And you all know, like, if you want to volunteer, just unmute, tell me what you think. It's a fact. There is, while absolutely it is important that, like Derek said, it is important to be able to opt in to the web push notification. But apart from that, there is no restriction in terms of saying that, hey, you can only send 5 emails, you can only send SMS within operating hours. There's nothing as such. As long as people are sort of engaging with you, you can actually send how many ever things. There's no spam concept of spam and push notifications. You can actually send out as much as push notification that you want. But the idea is to be thoughtful about sending push notification. Make sure you don't scare your consumers out of it. Just make sure to be thoughtful about using it. But yeah, all right. And the last one, I know we are getting there, is it's important to focus on one channel of marketing. Is it a fact or a fiction? So this is actually a fiction. It's actually, if you look at the whole funnel, right? Now, there are people like this is we are talking about once people land on your website, right? This is like where you would have just done performance marketing or Google ads or Instagram ads, let people come onto your store. Once they've come onto your store, it's going to be important to sort of make sure you engage in different touch points. For example, you actually know that there's about 56% of people avoid sharing their personal information, and this varies across different age, like Gen Z versus different personas. But this is a very interesting stat that has been shared by McKinsey, Nielsen, and much other research, including Shopify, which also said that not a lot of people actually want to give out personal, their personal information and details. So it's going to be very important. So which means that you got to figure out how to not let people bounce off to your store, because people are going to come to your store and they're going to bounce off. How do you make sure you don't let people bounce off? Like you can differently strategize. For example, push notification for your top of the funnel, and once they give your details, you can just start them on email and SMS, move them to your middle and bottom of the funnel and engage them accordingly. So different channels would actually help you make sure you have multiple touch points. It's like you don't put all of your eggs in one basket, right? That's simple as that. You need to be able to diversify your channels in order to make sure you're doing this. So, but yeah, let's move on to the crux of it, which starting with 2023 BFCM, just to give you a context, we did about 110 million notifications, and we saw about 2 to 3% of average CTR. And just from our ad revenue, we saw about $19 million revenue that we made in last 2023. So, and just not that, we sent about 500 million emails just on the Black Friday. That's the kind of scale that we are looking at what we've done in 2023. We are super excited to going to see what records you're all going to break in 2024. I'm very excited about this because there's a lot of interesting stuff. We're going to talk about some of the interesting consumer insights happening. I'm very excited because for a fact, I know that this is also coming out in some of the slides that you'll see how people are actually spending more in today in 2024 and 2025. There's a prediction happening there. You'll see a bunch of things there, but let's move to the next slide. So I'm sure you've all seen this. This is the Royal Rumble, right? Like this is like this during the BFCM, right? Everybody is fighting for attention, and it's going to be very important. But on the other side, what's happening on the consumer side is there's at least 17% more is what people are actually spending compared to 2022. Obviously, every one of you know there is an interesting global economics that's happening, right? A bunch of things are happening. Even then, people are actually resilient. They are actually spending more, which is a great news for all of you, right? So it's going to be now uh, when the consumer patterns are shifting now. How do we make sure, as brand owners, as marketeers, how do you make sure you're able to get the right messages at the right time? That's going to be very, very important. So we're going to talk more about this stuff. Obviously, we'll share all of the slides with you all after the presentation. This also has very region-specific insight. For example, somebody in the North America, how much were they spending in 2022 versus now, and in Europe, and so on and so forth. We'll be more than happy to share it with you all. But on to the next slide. So there are three layers that we're going to unpeel in this webinar. First is hygiene. Second is loyalty. Three is clean notifications. Like I said, all of this is coming from where I've been talking to like top brands, where all of the CMOs are talking about this. People in the founders in the DTC conference, people are talking about this. This is an important trend. Like last BFCM, a lot of people are talking about discounts, how do you churn out discount coupon codes. But like I said, consumer pattern is shifting. So as marketeers, it's important for us to get ahead of this. So we're going to talk about first is hygiene. I know this might have been like you could have just heard it, but it's also very undervalued right now. So the first thing is you gotta update your flows. That's number one that you gotta do. When I say update your flows, usually your flows are, hey, you actually somebody abandons the cart, you send them an email or push notification about 1 hour, 24 hours, whatever your settings is, you need to be able to update all of your flows with the right timing, which means that because think about it, right? This is the peak season. So you don't want to let people wait for 2 hours before you send your first reminder about what they abandoned during this, the whole Black Friday. In fact, you need to be able to like really advance it up 20 minutes, 15 minutes, because like I said, every minute that you're waiting, you're losing it to a competitor. So make sure, do not be shy. Just put out a message, tell them that, hey, you were looking at this product. We'd love for you to come and buy it. So it's important for you to do that. Second is change messaging to BFCM team, especially around push notification. This is such a superpower that we've seen brands really, really work this well. If you are using web push notification on push out, you should go ahead and change your welcome emails. You should think about it. Sorry. So if you're generally talking about any marketing strategy, this would not be very interesting for you. But if we are talking about specific things about BFCM, that would interest you. Same way for your consumers. On your welcome messages, just don't talk about general welcome messages. Spice it up. Tell them what are they here for? Why should they purchase your brand during BFCM, right? So it's important for you to really, really nail the BFCM team for your flows, for your campaigns. Make sure it is on point. And also focus on last engaged years. Again, we're going to split this into two, your push notifications and email and SMS. For your push notifications, people generally don't do this. You start segmenting people and focus on last year's engaged users. People who've seen notification, who clicked on notification, engaged with them, purchased it for the last year, do send them a notification. And there's also, in terms of email and SMS, obviously 1 year is a long, so you got to do at least 6 months. People who engage with you for the last 6 months, pick them up, start segmenting, send personalized notifications, right? And also, I'll also tell you a very interesting fact around creating early access for subscribers. Like I said, discounts are slightly fading away from the whole consumer side. Does that mean that it's just out of the room? Absolutely not. If you put a discount coupon code, every consumer is going to come for it. But what's happening is there's an interesting shift happening. Now brands are talking about profitability. How do you not churn away every single discount coupon code on your campaign and still get the revenue, right? So interestingly, a lot of the brands that I speak to are interestingly trying this experiment. So basically what they're doing is when they are releasing the product, they are sort of discounting it, but they're not telling it to consumer. So they would just do a 10% off and then sort of release it. and sort of make it a campaign saying that, hey, we are actually releasing a product. This is actually 10% off. Uh, and they just they're basically hyping up their product releases. So after 3 months or 1 month of their release of the new product, they normalize the prices. They don't sort of slash the prices, they normalize the prices. So this is interesting ways through which brands are experimenting. But like I said, all of us are here to learn. Some might have already been in the industry, done different experiments. I would love for you to share some experiments. It could be a successful, it could be a failed experiment. Do put it on chat so that other people can learn from it. So I'll also quickly look at any questions in chat. Uh, okay, great. Renate has a question, but I do not want to talk about Black Friday before the time, because then they will not buy on full price. Absolutely. You don't need to talk to them about Black Friday before the time. But like I said, this is like, think about during the BFCM time. You should tell them that why should they stick around on the Black Friday? Why should they purchase from you, right? So it's important to keep that note in mind. You don't need to like do it 1 month before, change all of your stuff. But like I said, that's going to be very interesting. Tell them that when they become a customer, when they start buying from your brand, what sort of a thing that they're gonna get, right? So give them some sort of exclusivity to stick around with your brand, just to see what they could get in Black Friday and so on. So you don't need to do it very. You need to find a sweet spot to be able to do it. Just a day or two, you could do that, and then run some exciting stuff. Like I said, brands are now actually not trying to compete on the Black Friday because everybody knows this is peak. They're trying to shift a little early. So it's going to be very interesting for you to try out for your brand and see what sticks. So yeah. Um, this is on the hygiene stuff. Like I said, very, very underrated, but do give it absolute importance. Do your due diligence, make sure this is right. We'll move on to the next phase of things. Um, So before you move on to the next phase, there's also, again, this is something that we've seen very, very often. Uh, like keeping extra credits is important for your push notifications whenever or emails. Plan it well ahead. It's also interesting fact is most of the app, this is a buying insight, right? Like because all of you are buyers, you work with apps and everything. A lot of people do give out discounts. So do negotiate with your app partners to see, hey, BFCM is coming. We think we'll exceed this volume. What do you have in for us? Even if they're not giving promotions, do definitely ask them upfront, and because that's your peak season, and you don't want to sort of completely go off your bills. So make sure you plan it well, because I've seen a lot of cases where people actually overconsume it, and then their revenue is actually getting lost during the peak season. It's important for you not to lose the revenue, especially during your peak time. So this is something that you want to keep in mind. Now, obviously, the we are also giving discounts. So if there's something that you want to go do, please do. Perfect. And all right, the important aspect of loyalty. So loyalty is something uh, on and again. This is something that I'm talking with brand CMOs. People are really, really seeing loyalty as the theme of this BFCM. Everybody wants to get people, to stay loyal. So it's going to be very important for you to focus loyalty as an important aspect of this BFCM. So the idea is to look at the lever of how do you move repeat purchases to move into a loyal segment? Somebody who's bought 2 times, 3 times, how do you make sure they are like becoming a loyal subscriber, right? That's going to be a very important factor for you. Focus on these segment, engage with them, ask them feedbacks around your products, post-purchase, send them emails. That's going to be very, very important. That's number one. Number two is your loyalty program. All of you have, I've seen a lot of people have great loyalty program. Use different channels to send your loyalty program. I think this was again another question from Renate, right? Like, hey, I don't want to talk about Black Friday, but you don't need to talk about Black Friday. Maybe talk about loyalty. Tell them that what is interesting happening in the loyalty stuff. Maybe you're just giving them 2x loyalty when you purchase during Black Friday, right? So this could be interesting ways for you to experiment. So definitely find ways to promote your loyalty program. Like again, one of the things that you could do is like use push notifications on the welcome push notification that you're sending. You could promote your loyalty program because there are three sequence of reminders and welcome push notifications. So you could actually promote your loyalty program and obviously increase the reward for every purchase to drive repeat sales. This is something that you can do so that people are getting more rewards. And generally, when you accumulate more rewards, you have a feeling that you want to use this for the brand, right? So it's going to be very important for you to think about how are you going to increase the reward. Is it different points? Is it accelerators? What sort of loyalty program do you have based on that you do? Like I said, loyalty is definitely greater than discounts. You'll also see very interesting consumer insight that we've paired this with, that a lot of people are rethinking what discount means for consumer. This means that the way you market is also very, very interesting, which means that when people are saying carbon footprints, how are they doing their products? How are they innovating? People are really, really thinking about discounts. I mean, people will definitely switch to new brands for a lower cost, but people are now moving from cautious spend to deliberate spend. They want to put their intentions. When you're saying that, hey, we actually make products using natural materials, they are more inclined to stay with you. They're more likely to be loyal with you. That's what the data says. So which means that again this all also goes back to your messaging, right? I know a lot of the brands do amazing work, but they're also very shy. They don't put it out. They don't tell their brand story, and they think that, oh, I might just like overwhelm my customers. I don't think so, because a lot of the people do want to hear from you. So don't shy away. Tell your story to the whole world. Tell them why it is important for you to stick with them. So yeah, we absolutely just focus on loyalty with this BFM. And the next slide. All right, this is another important thing. Uh, we keep saying Black Friday, Cyber Monday, BFCM, but people don't break it down to think about Black Friday and Cyber Monday. So try to think about Cyber Monday as a separate thing. So there are certain things you can just like quickly be agile and then navigate what's happening on Cyber Monday. So remember that Cyber Monday is also a very important season for you to focus on and make sure that your strategies are aligned around that. So that's something that we want to just give a quick tip. Moving on. This is a very, very interesting topic. Like I said, clean notification. When you're sending out, this is a peak season, everybody's getting notification, everybody's getting email. There is a big trail that we are all leaving end of the day with this. What do I mean? When you send out push notification, there are a lot of push notification that you're actually cramming the inbox, right? Same way with email. So do use flash sale. Flash sales give you a very clean experience. You could actually time your notification, for example, to say that, hey, first 1 hour of Black Friday, we could call it as a golden hour. And after that, the push notifications expire. They are no longer hogging your consumers' devices, right? So think about this, because if your sale is expired or specific things that you want to do as expired, it doesn't make sense for them to go to an expired sale. So use flash sale. These are things that it's a very, very great experience for your customers to do that. Number two is the email expiry. I don't know if you all know that every email that you do is actually there is amount of carbon that you generate when you send a number of emails. Now think about all the emails that you send during BFCM. That's going to be sitting on your consumer's inbox. It's not disappearing themselves unless and until somebody deletes it or some way. But we're the one of the ESPs that do email expiry, which means that we could set a recall email expiry. This is also around our uh, approach to carbon neutral. How do you reduce your carbon footprint? So when you actually send an email, when you set an expiry, there's a recall of email that happens. So this is something I want to quickly call it out. Like I said, it's important. Everybody is going towards eco-friendly, green environment. You all know this is happening. So it's going to be very, very conscious as a brands. How are you setting these examples? How are you approaching your consumers? That's going to be very important. So do have a clean notifications. Moving on. Um, there's one more thing. This is around keeping the sale on. Uh, like like if you all know, Amazon has a lot of sales during Prime Day or multiple sales, and they actually do extend their sales. They just keep on the sale for a month. Even though they have a Prime Day, they just keep if you go to the Amazon homepage, they actually extend the sale. If Amazon does that at their scale, you could also do that for your brand. So it's okay to keep your sale on if you feel like that's going to benefit. People are going to come out because you know uh, it's going to be it's going to be very interesting because consumers, whenever they go to the brand and say, hey, there's a Black Friday sale still going, it still piques their interest. They're going to come to you and see, hey, what am I missing out? Like maybe there's something that I can just like score in the last minute. Maybe there's a last minute sale happening. So, it's going to be very important. And like I said, if Amazon can do it at scale, all of the brands, you can do more on this. Like think about keeping the sale on. Maybe you don't need to give the same amount of discount, but you can just like excite people with this kind of a proposition. Moving on. So this is again, like I said, every experiment is something important for you to conclude because when you run an experiment, it runs on a very closed point, which means that there is something that is happening on the experiment. So you want to be able to make sure you are doing the due diligence, which is analyzing what did happen, because you don't want to like hustle in the next BFCM. So put a document today or end of BFCM, analyze all of this, put a checklist today saying that these are things you want to do, and then put a calendar invite and just get this done and store it somewhere so that you know what happened. Like for example, analyze open rates and CTRs. What did really work for you in terms of email, SMS, push notification? What was your open rates? What was your CTRs? And obviously, cross-channel comparison. How which channels did really work for you well? Plan for the next year. By the way, just for context, Pushall do release a report every year on the best performing campaigns, and you will get it in your inbox. Yeah, I think this is pretty much like most of you folks know about this stuff, but just a quick repetition. So yeah. Um, all right. So we pretty much covered all of the insights. Now, since most of you folks do have used Pushall, uh, we just want to tell you what is the Pushall advantage that we have. Like there are some very specific features that is there that you can take advantage for BFCM. We start with SMS. If you are doing international shipping, we do SMS for 180 countries. And you'll also see that we've recently released a new content calendar. This will actually help you plan what sort of a campaign you want to send at what day. We also have a bit of AI here and there where we want to like, instead of you just trying to spend more time on the creatives, we sort of let you use the AI to do a quick start so that on that you can just keep improving it. That's number two. Number three, like I said, I know it's going to be, this is a very important topic. Uh, while during BFCM, there's more money spent from the consumer. Ironically, there's also more money spent by the brands as well for the number of emails because a lot of the times you don't get charged only for emails. You get charged for number of contacts. So when you are in Pushall for notifications or emails, it's only for what you use, not for number of contacts. We have unlimited contacts both over email, SMS, and push notifications. We also have the last one is your price drop. Now, the usual price drop flow is whenever somebody goes on the product page, they have to subscribe in order to get the price drop. We've also released this considering BFCM that once you enable it in the Pushwell dashboard, that people who browse the previous products, they actually get a notification once the price drops. It's going to be very, very advantage for you to activate it, especially around BFCM. that it automatically triggers even when you do the price drop. You don't need to send out a campaign. This campaign it just keeps automating your email and push notification to your subscribers. So yeah, perfect. I think we are pretty much at the end of it. I know we've covered pretty much 45 minutes in terms of whatever we could. And I would love to see if there are any question and answers. What are some questions that you have? Again, I'm not the only person who need to answer. Anybody can feel free to answer. Like I said, we're all in it together, and some of have been running brands for more than 15 years now. So you all have great insights. Feel free to ask me questions, and then we'll be more than happy to answer your questions. For the price drop, do I have to change the compare price for a product, or does it also work with Shopware discounts? It does work for a product. So basically, whenever you reduce the product price, this automatically triggers it. So you just need to go to the automation and push all. Then there's a switch where you can just say automatically send notifications, and then we would do it. This question from Renate: how do you set up opt-in for SMS via push all? Is it a paid feature? Do you have SMS for Norway? Renate, we do have opt-ins. We have very exhaustive pop-ups where you can actually do web push, email, and SMS. All of these three can be, you can collect subscribers with these three channels in a very seamless way. We also have, we give you a bunch of optimizations to make sure it's on your brand color, images, etc., etc. There's also more exciting stuff that we're going to do with pop-ups as well. We're going to do like wheels and a little bit of gamification that we will let you know soon. But yeah, it's not a paid feature. If you're on the basic plan, you'll still be able to access it. Do you have SMS for Norway? I will ask my team to quickly check on that. And I do think we do support Norway, but I'll let my team confirm on the chat. Sophia has an interesting question. Do you have push notification for on Apple devices now? Absolutely, Sophia. So this is a recent addition with Apple. So until last year, Apple did not support push notifications. So recently this year, they started doing push notifications on Apple devices, especially around iPad and your iPhones. But it's a different way of opt-in, but otherwise it does work on the Apple devices, but it just works very natively on Mac. Mac has always been working. So how would you increase traffic to the eShop? Maybe you have any suggestions? I have vintage shop and I'm on social media. Very curious, does anybody wants to take a stab at this question on the chat, which is how would you increase traffic to the eShop? Are there people who've run TikTok, Meta ads? I'm sure a lot of you have experience running this, right?
So I can grab a chance and then tell something what I do for my shop, and then I'm not succeeded yet, but I can add few more things. And then what I do that, yeah. So what I do, I create posts and then add on Facebook and also TikToks. And then those channels, I do that regular basis. And also I'm create sort of posts for Halloweens and stuff. And then so they will probably come into our shop and then buy sort of related to Halloween stuff from my shop. Actually, I sell that all dog products. And then so right now I do that. So yeah, that's what I do.
What is your major source of traffic, Fernando? Like what is generating more traffic for you today?
Actually, I haven't got any customers. I newly built the site.
Okay.
And then keep
got
on
it.
doing that. Yeah. So waiting some traffic. Yeah.
Got it.
Yeah.
Okay, I think there are more people jumping in on this around. Derek has an interesting answer to send samples to affiliate. Oh wow, that's amazing. Derek, do you want to quickly expand on that?
Sure. I mean, we send out quite a bit of samples basically our in-house bandwidth is limited in regards to like content. So generating interest mainly comes from samples and giving out samples to affiliates. Obviously, you can give them certain percentages and commissions, but TikTok is a huge, huge platform for if you're kind of limited, you can utilize sampling and you don't have to start big. You can, start with 10, 15, 20, whatever, and then scale up. The cool thing about that is these creators who make videos with your samples will give you a Spark code, and that Spark code basically allows you to sponsor their video that's already producing well, and you can further push it. So you can put $100 behind the video and end up getting 50% more sales from the video by reaching a broader audience that it would organically. So it's kind of a cool idea. Obviously, there's tons of other things you can do on social media, but that's just one successful thing that we've seen really help.
That's amazing. Thanks for sharing that, Derek. Are there plans to be able to segment push notifications audios in the future rather than sending it to everyone? We do have this option to be able to segment push notifications instead of sending it to everyone. You can actually do it via campaign that you'll be able to create segments around this. For example, specific behaviors like somebody clicked on it or purchased it, even customer tags, which pulls up from Shopify, and you can actually cross-sell and do all of this. Is already available. Daniel. So it's a separate service that has to be paid. It's technically not a separate service, it's the same service. The email SMS platform that you see within Pushall is technically Brevo. So it's within our platform itself. But like I said, if you're specifically interested in any of the products, we'll be more than happy to talk to you and then show you what it is around and everything. Any good ideas in the messaging for push notification as you have very few characters? Absolutely, I think that's a great answer, Rich. Don't underestimate a good emoji. And also, generally, people also shy away from actually using emojis. A lot of the push notifications are very texty. It adds a spark when you actually do use emojis. So that's there. But in terms of messaging, the idea is it's short. It also occupies a small real estate on all the devices. So I would say keep it little engaging, where people are going to be looking at a push notification and say, hey, I want to engage with this. I want to click on it and see what's up. Talk to them, relate to them. I think that's going to be more important. And also use images. Like if you're sending out a campaign, make sure you have a good hero images. Make sure it is on the correct dimensions. Because what's happening is what we've seen is when we did a lot of the experiments around, hey, what makes push notification really, really effective? One of the things that we've noticed is when you have hero images added to your push notification, the engagement is really, really high. So I would definitely ask you to try and do that. And yeah, that's something that you could try.